Brethren and sisters of the fraternity, Illuminati, Masonic lodges, a deep subject, very interesting and very intriguing. Grandmaster Williams, 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, held a shrine temple, Noble, the ancient Arabic order of nobles of the mystic shrine, also holy Discordian Pope, and a worthy patron, hailing from Kent Duke Masonic Lodge. And it's been 26 years so far for me. For those of you that don't know, I was initiated at 18 and the Free and Accepted Masonic Lodge, and that was 26 years ago, a year after I graduated high school, and 4 years of ROTC. uh, and since then, since the third degree, I've been in deep study, contemplation on some of the same things some of us are familiar with. We really concentrate on this a lot in the Philatete Society, which is for Master Masons only, with the exception of our correspondence circle, which is under the governance of the Court of Coronati Lodge, number 2076 in London, which is the world premier Masonic Lodge of Research in the United Grand Lodge of England. And that is, masters have been known, at least one, to have, in fact, climbed the ladder due to having a friend that's already in the lodge. And by this means, acquired early on, so to speak, a position to work in the lodge. Some can argue this. Hey, he did it fair and square. And some can argue, well, it was an act of favoritism. He had an advantage. Nonetheless, after a year of service, as this story goes on, he had failed to put the craft to work, as well as to instruct them on whereby they might pursue their labors. And this is something that is a trouble today in the fraternity, in my opinion. Let me make a disclaimer. What I do state here is my personal opinion. It's based on my opinion. It does not reflect the stance of Freemasonry, nor any Freemason. All right? So I'm also going to abide by another regulation of Freemasonry, which is to not discuss politics nor religion. All right, so also the Philatete Society is an association, if you will, a society, actually, of Master Masons whom are Masonic writers who publish works. Not everybody's, into that, but other things. So I'm a broadcast journalism major at college, so I like it. I'm also a published poet. So I don't really want to talk strictly on Illuminati without spreading light, rather, about Illuminati Masonic lodges. And that's where the confusion is with people today who aren't in Freemasonry, who are interested in learning more about Freemasonry and our gentle craft. Uh, obviously for reasons unbeknownst to me. They hear Illuminati and they are generally associating it with a non-Masonic philosophy and Freemasonry for that matter as well, with a non-legitimate or appropriate or moral philosophy on Freemasonry. So there is a lot of controversy. You know, I produce my own show, the Hymn the Law show that airs on Blog Talk Radio, and the Hymn the Law show doesn't do controversy, right? We do business, ethics, you know, home, betterment, personal development. We have on gurus and such, yogis, those characters, artists, no pun intended, on the character part. But I will add to that a famous quote by Dr. King Jr. that is embraced by brothers of mine from the Black Male Achievers Brotherhood joined in college, and that is intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. And so character does work hand in hand with intelligence. So I don't want to offend anyone or step on any toes or ruffle any feathers. Uh, that being said, we'll move forward. Um, the reason I want to talk about this morning, this is Friday. I think it's 24 May 2024, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, don't hesitate to correct me. Let me leave you a contact number, area code 850-321-9512. My email, well, I've got a couple, but let me give you this one. It's my first and last name backwards. I mean, reversed. Williams Victor, WILL, this is all low caps. WILLIAMS VICTOR 237 at gmail.com. And correct me if I don't have the day of the week or the date or anything else correct. All right, because I'm into studential endeavors. And, you know, moreover, that's why I mentioned my initiation history, because since the third degree, as I was saying early on, I've come to be affiliated with Masons from um, ancient, free, and accepted Mason lodges, as well. Shucks. Uh, Ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, 33 degrees. So, okay, you know, I've decided to go further than the third degree personally, although from the third to the 33rd degree and even to 100 is a compilation or consolidation of information about the third degree, the Master Mason degree. All right. So, I was just raised and elected a Grand Master in the House of Eris by Grandmaster Crowley not long ago. And what I decided to do, and this is an initiative for me as a Grandmaster in the House of Eris, is do an 8-lecture series on the 8 circuits of consciousness. I was assigned research uh, the 8 circuits of consciousness by Grandmaster Crowley as soon as my petition for membership was accepted in the New Discordian Society, another branch of Illuminati. And so, you know, I appreciate the education opportunities that I'm encountering, and vice versa. Since the third degree, I will say I think the Blue Lodge and the Free and Accepted Masonic Lodges, is my personal opinion, are more concentrated on education about the craft. Having said that, the ancient free and accepted Masonic lodges, in my opinion, are concentrated more on education in general, and that happening to be with all virtue, thank you, brethren and sisters in the chapters of the Order of the Eastern Star, and the other auxiliaries, Daughters of the Amaranth, etc. Co-Freemasonry, Universal Masonry, etc. Uh, when it comes to the 8 circuits of consciousness, I'm not going to do them all at once because I'm going to create an opportunity for members in the society to obtain the level of Grand Master in the House of Aries. I have the credential already created. It's just got the blank spaces for a new Grand Master to sign. Date is already signed by me um, under the POEE, which is the Polytheo Animeta Mystichood of Aries Esoteric. In this, the POEE, there are 5 degrees. The 5th degree, which is what I am, is a Pope. And I'm going to create an opportunity for members who aren't yet Grand Masters to obtain uh, the title Grand Master. So instead of doing one lecture that will cover the 8 circuits of consciousness, I'm going to break them down and do 1 circuit per lecture. Thus, there is going to be an 8 lecture series. This is going to produce more opportunity for credit, right? So instead of attending 1 lecture, which isn't as much credit, if I'm not mistaken, if I didn't miscalculate this, I'm basing this on college course. There's going to be 8 different credits. So chances should be higher for recognition of participation, attendance, etc. All right. So I've already posted this social media. Members in the society know this. Upcoming. I don't have a date to launch it yet because I'm still preparing. I'm 4 as of last night and to this morning. I am just hours ago, like maybe 3 hours ago. I'm into the 4th circuit. I just finished preparing a lecture on the 4th circuit, so I'm halfway done. I'm not going to launch the series until I have all 8 lectures prepared. So this morning is just kind of a debriefing somewhat on the 8 circuits of consciousness to remind everyone that this opportunity is upcoming, and as well to do the diligence, to do the due diligence. As I do have an employee law certification. The due diligence of properly, or what's called duly and truly preparing prospect attendees to the lecture. For that matter, I'm contemplating uh, awarding the Grand Master credential for whoever attends that series, from 1 to 8, all the way, all 8 of them, instead of having that as one component towards that credential. And that's because I'm enjoying the learning that's going into the academic investigation that I'm conducting on research that's already been performed, right? I don't take what's online, etc., for free information. and nor does every instructor in college courses, depending on what major field you're going into. If you're going something like that involves something like journalism, or humanities or something, then you'll probably end up in some of those courses where, one standard is when it comes to using online sources, .com sources aren't reliable. Um, you know, .org not reliable. .edu a plus, obviously for a college, or .gov. Those are the two for whatever you're doing using the online or Google or whatever for. So um, I don't just go and find stuff, write it down, and recite. I paraphrase, I break it down, give proper recognition. I don't plagiarize, and many I think probably are, just because they are probably aware that equity value percent in real estate isn't quite equal with the perplexion of what is social regarding World Wide Web access or interconnectedness, globalization, etc. Um, and probably just, you know, feel, uh, you know, at liberty to use that information in ways I particularly don't. So, um, based on the academic investigation that I'm conducting, so what we learn to call it instead of research or an alternative uh, college jargon, um, take is I'm gonna do something some people do, but I've not been doing it. But maybe I should, and that's kind of indulge while I'm on the broadcast. All right, not good housekeeping, what we call, But anyway, um, I'm enjoying the way it's turning out for me because I'm a student type of Freemason. You know, I don't try to take over when I get to a certain position. I've been predecessed already. I coattail, I keep crawling, asking, waiting on approval. It's like the series, by the way. I'm going to make sure it's okay to launch such before I launch it, you know? And if it's not, then I'm not going to launch it. But I can still, live with having been educated and having been convinced or coerced probably into learning or delving deeper into the eight circuits of consciousness, thinking I would be able to have a lecture series or to help other members get to Grandmaster. So it's interesting. I'm absorbed into it. I think I want to finish the remaining 4 circuits today to go ahead and hurry and launch this thing. But anyway, I want to say about Illuminati, the Illuminati Masonic. I want to say what I found out. And I guess I have to go into a little bit of the history about this whole thing for those that might want to tap into this for other purposes. Again, we want to make sure that it's educational on a linear scale, especially since a lot of founders of different orders of Freemasonry have been post-secondary educated, or education directed or inclined individuals, not barbarians or you know um, vigilantes, renegades, outlaws, culprits, bandits, intellectual individuals, in my opinion. Yeah. So, hell errors on that, and move right on along into it. So, yes, one thing about Illuminati is that Illuminati means no harm on anyone, no controversy, or anything like that. In fact, or theory, it depends. I'm gonna leave it up to you. Illuminati does not keep a record of who is, um, dedicated to the human species in that way, or who isn't. So Illuminati is not, you know, uh, governmentally like Freemasonry, the fraternity. For that matter, it's more like operative masonry. Everything went all right. From the stone masons. But speculative masonry, I would disagree, or I would actually argue. No, I wouldn't. I want to argue for the Rosarian argument, but I would implement the Rosarian argument, make a suggestion to dissolve the debate over it, whether it is or isn't, because they're independent entities anyway. Freemasonry has a lot of branches, and they are in independent entities. Okay. Furthermore, Freemasonry has its own variation or systems or aspects of Freemasonry. And so when we say Freemasonry, as Freemasons, we could be going in more than one direction, uh, with the same principles still underlining that direction, and the virtues and the craft. So let's clear this air up. All right, there is no history or no record, excuse me, in regards to Illuminati or Illuminatis kept. So there is no who is, who isn't. And it's about or encompassing one's personal belief, internal self, to the extent of belief to possess the gift of illumination. All right. It's internal. All right. That's Illuminati. We've talked about this before. Um, when it comes to an organized Illuminati based society, that's when we get Masonic. All right. That is not the same. But again, it's irrelevant whether it is or not. The reason we are trying to clear the air is because there's too many people who are getting the wrong idea of what this is and are starting to think, in the light of mishaps in this particular decade, crises which we know have existed since the beginning of human history as we would perceive it. Uh, the the initiative that we have, the tendency rather to engage in charity in our communities, to empower others and influence positive action, to be of moral character and things like that, patrons in our community. It's giving the impression that Freemasonry is a charitable organization, and it is easy to access Freemasonry, that there is some transparency or perhaps a hologram or something. And that's not the case for Freemasonry. Freemasonry, as we have agreed in the Kentucky jurisdiction, in the Rubicon Masonic Society with Brethren of Lexington Lodge, number 1, Freemasonry is not a charitable organization. Freemasons uh, perform charity in our own respective communities. And furthermore, the decline in membership, there's some people's, you know, walk to stardom. It's great for us. Some of us are in favor of decreasing numbers because Freemasonry needs an opportunity. We agree uh, to um, to return to its pure form, where Freemasonry really is. Okay, so just a lot of illusory correlations are being experienced in the psychological world. I have a psychology of criminal justice certification and a psychology research methodology certification. So the variables are there. And let me tell you something else I'm looking around for or observing. That's the wow, the placebo effect. A lot of people are feeling free Masonic and knowing they haven't been initiated into a lodge because of how much information is available. They're able to read and, you know, make social hyphen casual, you know, uh, substance of the information. Of course, Freemasonry post college, as college post grade school, has its scholars, and so ethics are intact, etc. But there are some some of our uh, universal brothers and sisters are in major fields or professional practices that are running into this barrier in philosophy with clients, prospective customers. It's a barrier in today's business. Now, I'm a Verizon trained and certified small business mentor for entrepreneurs. Work with the micro mentor team, and a lot of what entrepreneurs who are mentees of mine describe in their problem bubble is, you know, clear to me that there are two things that are kind of one and the same, simultaneous, no less. They're not using the words they choose in the correct context, um, and they're miscommunicating when they speak in their business as a result. Chain effect. Example, we're still talking about Illuminati, but I'm going to give you some philosophy in this dialogue as well. Um, Business and company are not synonymous. When a person says, I have my own business, I own my own business, that's that's not the same as if that person has stated, I own my own company or I have my own company. Right? And what, in the adult sphere, uh, I like to, move all around, avoid business ethics because it's personal. Business involves how to extend success. Business is about building relationships. Perhaps if you have a company, how you go about maintaining and managing it is business. That's not the same as having your own company in the business or on the business platform. You don't want to mix those up because you're going to send the wrong message, in my opinion. And this is what I tell every mentee so far, um, or at least suggest. If you do that, don't do that, because that's some of why you think you're having problems with launching what you have. You're not using the right words, so you're misleading yourself. You see. So having said that, um, it's about words and choice that's got people thinking what they think about Freemasonry, whether they are Freemasons or not. And so this is why we're trying to address it, raise this discussion. Because not every Freemason is college educated, went to college. And you know what? Like I say, many Freemasons are. And so even if there are some who aren't, I still would like to argue or debate that we could agree to disagree, that they are still among college education if they're in a lodge that has college grads in it. It's inevitable. You have to, you know, cognitively, you have to have that edge if you've experienced that level of education. And so, you know, there are thousands of other students who have taken the same course under the state, and it's in a state association. What you know, the propensity percent is to it, the ratings to commercial bulletins or advanced advertising percent, the $1.01, you know, cartoons, etc. And so, yes, about Illuminati, I wanted to really go towards Illuminati Masonic. And why I've been holding it, trying, but after last night, because I got halfway through the 8 circuits of consciousness, you know, to where it's a little bit more, one more yellow brick to the yellow brick road in place. Um, Metaphor that it shows me of the 8 circuits of consciousness. I might not want to rule out the possibility, especially as a metaphysician. I have a doctor of metaphysics degree. Um, the the possibility that the 8 circuits can be summarized into a nutshell, right? And so, you know, there's a load to do on each circuit, and each circuit, so that we do have a good lecture and a you know open time to come in or whatever. Um, but I'm not gonna do it live. I'm gonna pre-record because lately technology has been too challenging for me to trust the live broadcast and then have the connection you know start to uh, divert the attention of the platform at that point from the metropolitan to the cosmopolitan, etc. So I'm going to pre-record them and make sure that the members can always go back and look and check, keep whatever as you know, if as can be done with the live as well. But I'm just not going to get into the challenge with technology, no more than necessary, or what is a necessary condition in this case. Um, each circuit has uh, three parts that are developmental points. Each circuit breaks down. No, doesn't really break down, I suppose, but each circuit has three developmental points that detail the circuit. We talked about this not long ago, how, you know, 8 and 3 is 24, and we learned in the first degree in Freemasonry, one of the entered apprentice masons working tools is the 24-inch gauge and how the 24-inch gauge works. But after last night, because this one had to take me into history about Illuminati to make make it long enough for a lecture, uh, and that's because lecture 4, which is what I'm talking about a little bit, debriefing, um, is the domestic circuit. And 26 years is not long enough for me to think or presume I have enough enough wisdom or knowledge and Freemasonry, to talk very much about, um, and as well, uh, make sure to include the esotericism. All right, with the exotericism. Now, the domestic circuit, anyway, taking me to where it took me because it concerns itself. Well, it's noted to have first appeared among or in tribes. And when I read that, I thought, how do I elaborate on tribes for the new Discordian society and not go into the different branches of Illuminati or Freemasonry? Um, Planning to tie it all in, all 8 circuits at the end, at some point, because it's not from 1 to 3. The first through the third circuit lectures, I don't go much into Illuminati. It's much more into the circuit and the background or the framework and structure of the circuit. By 4 halfway, I decided, let me punch in a little bit on Illuminati to make sure we're staying on task, that this is education for this fraternity. And so Circuit 4 was an ideal point on this journey to elaborate more on us, and not just the bubble, the academic bubble, but something more along the lines of esotericism. Right? Um, but I gotta give you a little bit of an introduction to it. Lecture 4, the domestic circuit. The domestic circuit concerns itself with operating within social networks. Excuse me. It also concerns itself with the transmission of culture across time. And so it first appeared with the development of tribes. It deals with moral social rules. It deals with sexual tribal rules passed through generations. And it's also the introduction to the 4th dimension, which is time. The 3rd circuit talks about the 3rd dimension. The 1st circuit talks about 1 dimension perception. So anywho, um, with regard to the passing of tribal rules through generations, um, there are 2 kinds of ways that's done to know about. And this, those of you who attend the lecture, who are interested in the credential Grand Master in the House of Aries, that's why I'm doing this now. This one. And for me, but I have you in mind. Um, so you can have something to go ahead and start studying about or for. Um, there is going to be a quiz. Of course, in order to have a degree conferred in Freemasonry, you have to prove proficiency in the degree you're in before you can have the next degree conferred, right? proficiency. And so there will be a quiz to prove proficiency uh, from whatever whatever the lecture is going to turn out to be about, right? Um, Again, there are two ways that happens. There's a traditional or a customary morality that is a such thing. Traditional morality or customary morality. Those are two ways that this passing through generations happens in the tribes. Okay, such things like the sexual tribal rules that apply in tribes and that are passed through generations. Traditional morality or customary reality. Now, we'll go customary. A custom. What is a custom? So we understand the customary morality. A custom is a traditional and widely accepted way of behaving or doing something that is specific to a particular society, place, or time. And there's an alternative meaning for custom, which is the regular dealings with a shop or business by customers. So you've got a custom as well. Examples of custom, you go into Bavarian Illuminati, in the bubble, in the craft. And the reason why to go into Bavarian Illuminati is because, again, as I disclosed early on, with regards to Illuminati, Illuminati is something that does not have a record of who is or who isn't dedicated to the human species. It's a private, personal dedication. And that is common sense in humanity or in philosophy, in my opinion. But again, people don't understand words they choose, they use their memory, suffice that gets them through conversation, etc. It confuses things and it sends people the wrong messages as well. And the English major of things. And so Bavarian Illuminati is the Illuminati individuals who formed mutually, voluntarily, a society composed of or consisting of individual Illuminatis. That articulately is not the same. And so an example of custom is in Bavarian Illuminati with regard to tribes, because um, one example is the existing Bavarian Illuminati. I have the paperwork. I have the stuff that came when I was accepted. Uh, uh, and crossed the Judaism oath gate. Uh, until you complete your membership initiation process, your loyalty will always be put to a test. That's an example of a custom in context with what we're studying, the 8 circuits of consciousness 4, which I don't know, because this was originally assigned to me by Grandmaster Crowley. But this is how I'm going to break down or make use or show proficiency in the 8 circuits of in the 8 circuits of consciousness, for whatever is ahead for me in the future in this journey. You know, another one. I'll give you a few examples of custom and not Bavarian Illuminati, just referencing it, because there are so many branches and rankings. You are required to have only one initiator. That's a custom. Another one, if your name pops up with more than one initiator, your initiation is terminated immediately, and you can never become an Illuminati member, as this is seen as an act of deception. Another custom. Now, an act of deception, we could argue it's an opinion, But since it is in an order, a list of customs, rules, right? Um, it stands as a custom with regards to membership in this brotherhood. Okay? And so uh, that's custom. Yeah. And traditional, again, we know what traditional is. There's a moral system. We talk about the different ways this is passed, the traditional morality or custom morality. Well, where are we going with morality in this? Uh, Besides consciousness and the importance of the 8 circuits of consciousness and understanding them in this new society of the Discordian Illuminati. A system of coherent, systematic, and reasonable principles, rules, ideals, and values which work to form one's overall perspective is a moral system. And, a few moral systems that exist are the Aristotelian ethics, deontology, and utilitarianism. Those are moral systems. So you got some footnote, virtual footnotes here to learn more, tap more into moral systems and what moral systems have in store, lying awaiting thee in the light. Hopefully, um, that's different than a common moral system, which is which has to do only with to make decisions and judgments. That's exercising moral. But to know what moral is out of the sentence is important to learn. So, Bavarian Illuminati therefore has a moral system. Whether it's agreed to be moral as a fraternity or brotherhood or organization or not, that's an opinion again. And I respect them because that's all we are permitted to prepense in Freemasonry anyway, right? Um, Now, what got interesting here to me is when it got into the sexual tribal rules. There's these things surprising to me are similar to federal government as it has a 3-branch system. There is the legislative branch, there is the executive branch, and there is the judicial branch. And then we have also what exists in what is it? What is the course I took at Khan Academy? Democracy and U.S. politics and democracy, or something like that. Um, Checks and balances, right? That facilitate, the operation of the federal government, right? And so, sexual tribal rules are similar to the federal government in that there is the 3-branch system uh, involved to exercise sovereign powers over the people. Right? It consists of codes and constitutions to each tribe, as well as ordinances, regulations, uh, and resolutions. And I thought, wow, I need to understand how this has come to be a little bit more. Uh, and so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and share some diagrams, some illustrations I've drawn. Some of them similar to, not quite, I didn't get the Venn diagram going. Yes, I did. There's one Venn diagram on the lecture of the 4th Circuit of Consciousness. and I will post that as well. So, as the fourth circuit also is an introduction to the fourth dimension, which is time, it's important to know the fourth dimension is a mathematical extension of three-dimensional space in physics, which is time. So it's essentially the way to get inside of a three-dimensional space is the fourth dimension. Right? Now, I've got an interesting diagram or illustration I have drawn here, and I'm going to get it on the screen if I can, so you can see it. So you don't just hear me talking and not know what I'm talking about. This one right here. This one right here. When we talk about tribes in this circle, you see there's tribes inside of it. And encompassing it is a circle, right? That represents completion. No beginning, no end. It's infinite. That's where tribes are in this context concerning or regarding Circuit 4 lecture. And from tribes, we spread out or spawn out or expand in fraternal contact terms to a curriculum, because the tribe is it's um, it's encompassed in the fourth circuit of consciousness, which is not tangible. That's something that's internal. And so this is the reason, and this is the purpose for the illustration. Right? In tribes, an extension is made, a reach is possible to curriculum because of tribal law. Okay, it goes out into curriculum. It also goes out to agenda, right? And from the curriculum, there are subcategories that are symbolizing the tribe simultaneously. This means the tribe is functioning, the tribe is operating, it has a governing entity overseeing or monitoring its operation. And so from the curriculum, it spawns, if you will, um, in, into subcategories onto the tribe, like what it's going to do with its rules, regulations, with its space, what it's going to do. Go to McDonald's, go to Tom Brown Park, call it a day, clock in, clock out, go on vacation, what the tribe itself is going to do, right? Subcategories, okay? And I want to know that. And regulations, right? Because society at large still exists, right? Our fraternity is not the majority of mass population, okay? Um, while it does this with agenda, there are two ways it can spread or expand. One of them is consciousness with the agenda, because there are the individual rights one has and liberties in a democracy to do whatever he or she feels at liberty to do, right? Freedom of speech, you can get all into it, right? On your own time. As well, from understanding of an agenda, acknowledgement, right? This keeps the structure of the tribe together. This is what's important about consciousness, and what consciousness, or the 8 circuits of consciousness, has to do with discordians, right? I'm making sure I tie this in to remain in context, all right? So there are more things like that we can get into along the way. I'm going to wait for the lecture, though, to do each one of them. But I want to give you a little, look at what I'm saying, so you can see how this is put together versus taken apart. Now, we talk about tribes. Let's again relate this to Illuminati. Illuminati and tribes. I'm looking at, going into it. Follow me. Illuminati again refers to one whom believes oneself has an ability to see light or possess a light, to be an enlightened one. Right? Well, one thing importantly to know about that is that there is no knowledge of who is an Illuminati nor who is not. Now, in 1776, this is some history about Illuminati Masonic. In 1776, on May 1st, an Illuminati, a brother and founder of the first organized Illuminati society, founded the Perfectibilists. The Perfectibilists, in what's called or known as the Covenant of, I think, Perfectibility. The Covenant of Perfectibility. And they're known as the Perfectibilists. All right? And they're a tribe-like spawn, the Perfectibilists, of Illuminati standard, if you will, right? They each are Illuminatis who formed a formal society together to share the philosophy that belongs to each one respectively. That's different, right? So the Perfectibilists, not Illuminati, as an organization, what today is known as a Bavarian Illuminati did not begin as Illuminati. It began as a covenant of perfectibility consisting of Illuminatis, right? And so the Perfectibilists in this respect are spawn like a tribe-like, a tribe-like spawn of Illuminati, consisting of individual Illuminatis. So Illuminati is a name given to several groups, both real and fictitious. Several groups, right? It has been used when referring to various organizations which are alleged to be a continuation of the original Bavarian Illuminati, though these links have not been substantiated, right? So it wasn't until 1778 that the name changed from Perfectibilists to Order of Illuminati. And that obviously came through trial and error, right? Uh, and so in that, the creation, the production of degrees or classes came about. Three grades, as are 3 degrees in Freemasonry. The first degree in Freemasonry in the Blue Lodge is the Entered Apprentice Mason degree, not the Entered Apprentice, and not Entered Apprentice, not EA. It is the Entered Apprentice Mason degree. The second degree in Freemasonry is the Fellowcraft Mason degree. And the final degree of the 3 Blue Lodge degrees or Craft Lodge degrees in Freemasonry is the Master Mason degree. Master Mason degree. Okay? So in 1778, the order became the Order of Illuminati. It changed from the Perfectibilist, its original name. So, that's people need to learn, educate yourself. I shared a quote from Dr. King earlier about education. You got to have character and intelligence, according to him. And so I served in 2 capacities with the Black Male Achievers. which we have that quote printed on the back of our t-shirts. I served as president of the Black Male Achievers, and I served as historian of the Black Male Achievers. So take it from me. Um, in 1778, 2 years after, what's essentially now is becoming the Bavarian Illuminati. Um, the order had 3 grades, and this alludes to the Illuminati Masonic Lodge. The first degree is novice, the second degree is a Minerval, and the third degree is illuminated Minerval. And when you get to those 2 second degrees, the latter 2 degrees, they involve complicated ceremony. And in this ceremony, the candidate is given secret signs and the candidate is given secret password. That's the difference in just Illuminati and Illuminati Masonic. All right. And so when people say, well, Illuminati is not like Freemasonry, Freemasonry is not like Illuminati. Well, of course they aren't. Of course they're not the same. But I'm not understanding like what's wrong with reciprocity. That's literally, you can see in any context, in any piece of literature, they're not the same. One starts with an F, one starts with an I. So Illuminati Masonic is different than just Illuminati, and so is Freemasonry for that matter. So is any lodge, by the way, because I'm in more lodges than just Freemason lodges. All right, the Illuminati, the Order of Illuminati, also has a ruling council as well. So it's influenced by Freemasonry. And some of this, who knows, maybe it's got to do with these individuals who are all at the time in Ingolstadt. The founder of Bavarian Illuminati was a professor of law at Ingolstadt. They are experiencing adversity from the church, etc. And maybe this has compelled them to unite, perhaps to survive. As we will understand in the first circuit of consciousness, the first circuit is the bio-survival circuit. We'll understand a lot more about our fraternity, hopefully, by the time we are done with the 8 lecture series on the 8 circuits of consciousness that I'm going to give. Anywho, a year after the Perfectibilists and before the name is Order of Illuminati, the founder decides to join the Order of Freemasonry. So May 1st, 1776, 2 months and a few days before the declaration, before Independence Day, we celebrate today, the 4th of July, 1776. May 1st, 1776, just a couple months earlier. Imagine the bubble of society in terms of, I'm not going to get into politics, but just imagine what's going on in the year. You got the winter, the spring, the summer, the autumn, and the fall, all of 1776. Not just the summer and the spring, right? So May 1st, the Perfectibilists are formed in name. In 1777, the founder joins Freemasonry. And in 1778, the name changes to Order of Illuminati from Perfectibilists. So you gotta really get into this and learn. Before you are all over social media and everybody else's profile with ridiculous intuition. It's not scholarly, okay? It's not scholarly, and that's my opinion. And that's because it's leading to hate crime and other things that are not ethical among people who are professionals in media. I'm certified in media studies, broadcast and entertainment media. I studied the 1950s, the golden age, and television and radio and MP3s and internet and how it has impacted society through over time, right? So not everybody that's online is credentialed. So some ethics and things. But anywho, um, my point is with this uh, Illuminati that we are talking about, that we shall be concerned with, uh, it's not devil worshiping, it's not satanic, and for that matter, Freemasonry is not a charitable organization. I met a couple months ago. Most recently, I met a few nights ago with the Brothers of Lexington Lodge Number 1, Kentucky jurisdiction. And again, I appreciate you, brothers. I appreciate the intelligent lecture from Brother Gullah just a few days ago. Um, well, maybe this was Tuesday. Yeah, this past Tuesday. So this is the 24th, if I'm not correct. Remember, don't hesitate to correct me. Um, 24th, I think. So 23rd, 22nd, maybe the 21st. We met, but we talked about Freemasonry and English Reformation. Some meetings before, 3 or 4 meetings before this one, most recent one, we talked about faith and Freemasonry. Faith is one of our 3 graces. We have faith in the great architect of the universe, hope, charity, for charity, and faith, hope, and charity. And charity, getting tied up, saying the same word too many times, kind of. Charity among all men, right? Or, toward all men. And so faith is no strange area to have visited or to visit in Freemason for Masons. Having said that, we talked about faith and where we're going to go, saving Freemasonry, or does Freemasonry need to be saved or not? What's happening to our fraternity members are leaving, etc. Now, we've got common sense. We know that this has started on a high percent rating post-coronavirus. We understand that, but we still have to take care of our craft. And so, in light of that, we raised a discussion about Freemasonry and faith and how we're going to, if we need to, and what are some specific ways for us to start to do this beyond just for more than just Lexington Lodge number 1. See, the fraternity is worldwide. We it's not just pertaining to Lexington Lodge number 1. All brothers. So, long story short here, some of us agreed, and some of us agreed on something else. But one thing, some agreed on. It's unfortunate that we're losing members. We're losing good men made better. Right? And then on the other hand, which is the hand I happen to land in, we agreed, you know, it's best Freemasonry return to its purest form, and the least members we have, the better Freemasonry is, because it's becoming too much of a perception and an illusory correlation, by the way, if it not a zero correlation. That Freemasonry is easy to access, or it is a charitable organization. And that is not, we agreed in the meeting, not what Freemasonry is. And so, um, the difference between Illuminati and Freemasonry, it's the same as it's the same difference between an apple and an orange. But do you not eat each of them? Right? And psychologically, maybe you can't tolerate, maybe you're lactose intolerant or something, and you can't tolerate one and you can the other, or you're sick and you need citrus, Tums or something that's, a citrus supplement. Like, what's the who about things that are different, right? If it's not in an intelligent context, if it's not educational, it's something we can understand, right? But there are people who have said, well, the reason you're losing members, the reason the members is declining is because they're trying to imply that it's karmic. It's because you're devil worshiping, or you're into Satanism, or those your dark closets and realms, and karmically, you're being eliminated. That's what the commentary alludes to, and that's not the case. It is an opinion, and if you like it, I love it. I like to actually, in an intellectual discussion, understand why more you think so, and developmentally, from a standpoint of a sociological imagination, how you develop such, resources, sites, references, where at, what, besides looking at our fraternity and what we provide, about our grand lodges and history and everything like that. Yeah, because we are of moral character, and we don't wish bad on humanity. You cannot make it on the other side of any gate unless you are this way. So liberty and freedom, they permit you verbatim liberty and freedom. You have things to abide by if you are going to be in this fraternity. And I'm in more than one fraternity. I'm a Greek letter scholar too. The same thing applies there. You don't get in the first place if you don't pledge to uphold the object and aim of such entity. You have to take oaths. Officers, committees, multiple, simultaneous, a different oath for each one, because we're not playing, and it's not a game. Freemasonry is not a game. Freemasonry is a fraternity, but Masonry definitely is not a game. And so, we don't wish bad towards people or humanity, right? But people have got to understand that doesn't, as the minority population, that does not um, permit, you know, uh, the esotericism, right? doesn't permit the esotericism. You dig? And so, we don't want people to be learning in our whole society from sources that are teaching them Freemasonry is satanic. The history of this fraternity is much older than us all. And if anything, you know, if we're interested in Freemasonry, need to learn from Freemasons. If you're interested in an orange, I would not ethically suggest you pick an orange that's grown on an apple tree, even if it is an orange and you like it. I wouldn't, in that same respect, suggest you pick a blackberry from a watermelon patch. Pick a blackberry from a blackberry patch. Pick an orange from an orange tree. Pick an apple from an apple tree. If you're in a grocery store and you're in the commercial marketplace floor and you got a bin that's full of bananas, apples, oranges in there, $1 a piece or something, then you pick out of something like that. But in nature, I wouldn't suggest an orange grown on an apple tree you pick when you want an orange. And so, I'm gonna leave you with that one right there. I say that to say this: if you want to learn about Freemasonry, obviously you need to learn from a Freemason. Period. If you want to learn about cosmetics, learn from a cosmetologist, not a barber. Right? Not doing this is what's got people confused, and it's breaking up relationships. Things inevitably happening to us like coronavirus. It creates an immense spiral to the situation when you have to close your schools, figure out where your children learn and how they socialize with their friends in their developmental stages. Because come to find out, you're in the back of the room under the house somewhere, in the backyard in the shed with a laptop or some device plugged in, trying to be, something that you aren't. And then you go to your grocery store up the street or across town to look like everyone else in civil, disposition, civil composure, and purchase your string beans and cabbages and lettuce and romaine lettuce and Italian meatballs and French dishes you plan to create to take to the job for job meeting and hors d'oeuvres and this perpetual person with this hidden profile and hidden agenda. We don't have to be that way as Freemasons in Freemasonry. We turn out the way Freemasonry is as a craft. And if you want to learn about Freemasonry, you need to learn from a Freemason, right? Or stop telling yourself that you really want to learn about Freemasonry and tell yourself what you're really trying to learn about. In the 24-inch gauge, you can't lose with that. You got a period of time every day for every attempt you want to make to fail or succeed that lasts between sunrise and sunset. And you guys, that's giving you some leniency. Business hours typically are at 5 o'clock, which is not sunset. You got from 8, typically or commonly from 8 to 5 to make your matter, to make volume of your theory. 6, 7, 8, 9 at night, you awake, wide awake. Maybe you're on boosters, opioids, it don't matter. Stimulants, you name it, but that's not the time. And nobody's professionally interested or processing it either at that time, even if you work a night shift. You got to understand in business and cosmics what all of that is encompassing. Okay, so uh, Illuminati is something different, yes. However, Illuminati Masonic is about an Illuminati who joined Freemasonry and proceeded, passed through the 3 degrees of Freemasonry, became endeavored and entrepreneurial enough to create lodges, seek permission through membership in Freemasonry to become an Illuminati Masonic Lodge, gained permission to become a lodge in the Illuminati Society, went further from there to gain permission from the Grand Lodge to become a Grand Lodge, its own lodge, became a Mother Lodge, and then sought independence because it connected over time through age. Its connections became independent. Okay? You got to know this about one Illuminati at one point or period upon, time in this universe. All right? That's the significance in terms of landmarks in history, geologically, where our lodges are now, grand lodges as well, jurisdictions, supreme councils, appendant bodies. A lot of them have risen since the coronavirus, well, since the World Trade Center. You got Masonic organizations that exist now that open membership to Masons and non-Masons to learn about Masonry, Freemasonry. Masonic societies are on the rise, and you need not necessarily be a Freemason, which is new, it's modern, but it's all in the aspect that we do know of. That is in the first, and it is included in the first degree manual of the Enter the Apprentice Mason degree. That is predecessed by speculative masonry or Freemasonry. That's called applied masonry. Applied masonry is an attempt to settle this misperception on what Freemasonry is. And this is because it gets to be unethical when you got such as like brothers like myself that are not just master masons or Shriners who are 100% devoted to children's hospitals, right? That's not a positive correlation with devil worshippers or being satanic. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous in a common moral way, in my opinion. And so applied masonry is making an attempt on our behalf in Freemasonry to pan over whatever the philosophy is really leading us to. That's resulting in these accusations or these allegations or suspicions. You know, to see the commonality among human beings, whether you're a Freemason or not, that are along the lines of ethics, right? That's what applied masonry is about. And so a lot of these there's also a contemplative masonry aspect. There's lots of them. They're not all in the first degree manual, but operative masonry, that's masonry. The stone masons and the guilds, right? When you are using a square and a compass to erect a building, a structure, whether it's looked at as a building or not, to erect a structure. be it a building, a facility, an agency, a temple, name it what you want, a church, a shrine, but the building itself comes from operative masonry. Speculative masonry is about the use of those tools and by the same architect who is growing in a natural biological essentialism, which means or has symbolic meaning. So, for example, my current job I'm on, I got two, but not the Grand Lodge of Louisiana. I'm not just a Grand Master. Also, I'm a cashier in the financial department. That's my second job, but my primary job um, is a master floor technician. I've been on this year 4 years consecutive. So I have seniority. I'm a master floor technician. Um, you know, Probably the absences I've had in 4 years I can count on one hand, and of all excused. Academic purposes, because taking classes at the same time, which I've taken a little break off now, because with that and fraternities, and no one's recovering from charity, and we're just getting deeper and deeper in something that we don't really know about. I've had to retrail my pattern, to collect uh, some parameter of academic investigation. Make sure I'm more than just sitting and retaining and just reciting, you but still, uh, the the period of time it has taken me, which I've no, you know, no specific track for, outside of just generally 4 years. Right, 2020, I got hired, and it's 2024. Again, I didn't get hired as a master floor technician. I had to learn not just floors because I had experience, but I had to learn this person's method to do the floors the way it's done here. You see, just like in my hometown I'm now, I have to learn how to get around town all over again because it's not my hometown. Literally, it doesn't belong to me. I don't own it, right? So I've still got to learn, right, how to get around it. Cognitively, anyway, it's my responsibility as a citizen at 44 years old. Okay, going on 20 something, right? Thanks. so, um, so over time, this operative mason, this stone mason's using his tools. That's sublime. The time he spends devoted to his work builds him in a characteristic way, right? That's what speculative masonry is about. Those same tools of operative masonry in symbolism, in terms of or in regard to how they build character. Okay, so that's a curriculum platform to visit. All right, and applied masonry, it is saying, hey, what do we have in common? Be us Freemasons or non-Freemasons. Do you like ice cream? Are you a Presbyterian? Do you like, um, you know, you know, cherries on top of your sundae, or do you like, or do you not like, late night hours, or, but what do we have in common that just gives us an escape? Tradition of King Hiram Abiff, as he escaped into the ambush, that gives us an escape from just the constant beating a dead horse. If you're not a Freemason, you're not going to learn Freemasonry. Period. Right? You can suffice. You can have each letter that it takes to create the word Freemasonry and have at the alphabet all day long. Knock yourself out. No pun intended. You can have an F. You can have an R. You can have an E twice. Right? The same E. Um, you know, you can have an M, you can have an O, an R, again, the same R. You can have that, but if you're not a Freemason, you cannot learn Freemasonry, the craft, right? And so that's just that. Um, we're trying to help, as usual, people understand what's going on that is relevant and that's pertinent in your community that pertains to you, right? We don't want you to sit in on Freemasonry live exclusive just to try to perpetuate Freemasonic uh, grips, you know, and signs. That's not, that's common sense. I'm not gonna try to beat a dead horse myself here. Um, it takes time. See, in my job, because I've learned enough thus far in this Masonic journey, I've become oriented with the ideal of operative masonry, uh, speculative masonry, and now applied masonry. Because some people come on the job, and I've seen in one within a year, I kept count because of my position. I saw 9 individuals come into employment and leave within 2 months. What does that have to say about your drive? You got to pay attention, brother. Don't let them get to you, like I tell you most of the time. Don't be at your lodge and at all the lodges too. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, you know what I'm talking about. Don't be at your lodge and the other lodges too, brother. You know, for brothers that's getting the crowd, you know, in a bind because you want to go visit everywhere you can. And then you find out, based on history, that Grand Lodge jurisdiction doesn't recognize yours. Now your heart's hurt. Your ego is crushed. You feel bad. They think you're clandestine. They think you're bogus. You start to question yourself. Yo, in personal development terms, that's not the way you want to go. You don't want to go that way. Moreover, visiting is not mandatory. If you don't have to go beyond the 3rd degree. Everything else is compiling the 3rd degree. So don't put yourself out there if you can't deal with, the way other lodges run. Because it's not towards you personally. Anyone that doesn't recognize gets the same protocol approach. It's not towards you. It's the way their jurisdiction runs. So, don't be at your lodge and the other lodges too. And when you do visit or whatever, be educational. Go as a student. Go as a student. Go where you can go and learn. You might, if you learn enough, find a reason why you shouldn't even visit some lodges. Instead of just having your mind really outside the box, thoughtfully, to travel as much as possible. Something to that effect. Don't put yourself out there like that. Don't become vulnerable. More vulnerable than possibly you are already. When I say that, to be taken with a grain of salt, because in order to be a brother, you have to first understand what it means to a brother to have a brother. You can't just impede on person's lives or lifestyle behavior. You have to know what the brother thinks about brotherly love in order to be his brother. It's not just a word. This is where a lot of people mixed up with. They think language is the key to somewhere, and it's not. It's absolutely not. You was learning language. You can be verbal or nonverbal to communicate. That happens in infancy. That happens when you're a child. So that's not the key to success. All right. So, um, uh, yeah. So yeah. I on my job, I can see how Freemasonry benefits me anywhere now because I stay studying. I stay up on it because it's a choice I made at 18 years old. You know, I can stick to what I say. But some people, they have done this and it's not for them, and they fight and struggling to stay in it. And they're not articulating the craft in the right way, the science. You know, they're not conducting the proper evaluation of general knowledges. Physical knowledge, metaphysical knowledge, cultural knowledge, art, history, literature. Esotericism, theology, philosophy, behavioral sciences, formal sciences, natural sciences. They're not speaking it correctly because they're not experiencing it in a first person perspective. They're not subjecting themselves. They're not connecting with the objective nature of the universe. They won't challenge the status quo. They won't connect themselves with the submissive nature of the universe or its expressive form. They won't have fun. Everybody's got some kind of serious agenda for doing something. All right? You got to chill out as an adult and do what it is you decide you should be doing. Okay? And so, you know, I don't suggest further study on Illuminati or Freemasonry or anything like that until you really are speaking with, an official of those ordinances, and those provisions, those constitutions, those bylaws, those virtues, those principles, and that level on which we meet on equality, that plumb by which we act of rightness, and that square on which we part on virtues, not meet. See, you thinking we meet on the square. No, 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 no. We don't meet on the square. We meet on the level. We part on the square. So you got a lot to learn by tuning in, checking out the 8 lecture series that I got. I'm not sure when I'm going to launch it right now, but on the 8 circuits of consciousness. And again, we meet upon the level of equality. We act by the plumb of uprightness, and we part upon the square of virtues. Until we meet again, good day, mate. I'm Grandmaster Williams.